why did this even happen? We don't let them decide when they can run across the road. We don't let them decide what will go on their plate every day. We don't let them decide whether to hit their sibling. And we don't let them decide when to do school or play. When did we decide that our children would be the best ones to make the decision about when, where, and with whom they sleep? Hi, Krista here with Mom's Find Truth. So to dive into this somewhat controversial topic about teaching our children healthy sleep habits. When we back up and look at this, it's pretty easy to see the downsides of letting our children be the decision makers in this area of life. They often, whether they are going to bed late, getting up too early, getting up throughout the night, sleeping in parents' room or some other location than their bed, they're not going to get quality sleep, not nearly as good of sleep as they could. Also, parents are not going to get great sleep either. It's kind of become a cliche that moms are just continuously exhausted because their kids don't have healthy sleep habits. So, of course, the motivation to pursue healthy sleep habits with our children is very obvious as well. So why don't we do it? Why have we kind of become the victims to our children's decisions about sleep? Well, I think as we approach all the different areas that our children encounter, it is good to differentiate that there are areas of parenthood and, I guess, decisions within our children's realm that we can control and that we can't control. For instance, we can and should control what is put on our children's plate, but we cannot control or shouldn't control necessarily what they actually consume. So by saying that, what I say to my children is I fill their plate with what I choose to fill their plate with, and then they are required to eat this plate before they can eat anything else in the house. But if they are not hungry, then I'm not going to force feed them. Or if they've just decided they don't like anything on their plate, again, I'm not going to force feed them, but they're not going to eat anything else. Another area like that is that we can require our children to show a certain joyful outward demeanor, but we can't determine what thoughts are going on in their head and feelings in their heart. So as I'm teaching my children to have joy, I need to see, in order for me to accept that they are obeying with joy, I need to see that outward demeanor. But at the end of the day, I'm not guaranteed that they're feeling joy in their heart, and there's nothing I can do about that. I can continue to teach them the joy of Christ, but it's their choice whether or not they're going to embrace that. And then as a final example, as far as activities that our children participate in, we are the ones that determine the yeses and the nos. You can do this activity, you cannot do this activity. But what we don't determine is where our children develop a passion. We can't command that, we can't determine it, we can't change it. It is what is. In all of these areas, based on what we're teaching them as far as eating well or having true joy or where passions can be directed, we can potentially sway some of that, but we can't decide it. That is a personal decision for them. And this is where the pitfall with sleep arises, because for some reason, we have started putting everything revolving around our children's sleep in the I can't do anything about it category. And I think that probably the reason for that is that at the end of the day, we cannot make our children fall asleep or stay asleep. And so sleeping itself does fall into that category. But what is in the we can control category is all the aspects that are going to set them up for falling asleep. So if you take how we treat sleep and put that with food, it would be like if we say, I can't force feed my kids. I can't make them desire certain foods. So, que sera, sera, they can eat whatever they want to eat because it's a lost cause. I can't make them eat the right food. Okay, but if the only thing you put on their plate is healthy food, and that's all they're exposed to in the home, and you are working with them and teaching them and talking with them about the dangers of processed food and how beneficial healthy food can be and what God intended food to be and how it plays a part in your day-to-day life, and maybe some examples of people that are having health struggles because of negative food choices versus those who have turned it around because of positive food choices. There is so much you can do to sway your kids in the right direction and to really set them up on a good pathway as far as food choices without actually force feeding them. And the same thing applies to sleep. So when they're laying down in bed in a dark, quiet room, and the where, which room that is and which bed, and with whom, whether or not it's by themselves or with parents, that all of those aspects can be determined by you. When their body actually falls asleep is obviously out of your control. But if you set up all of those other areas well, the great thing about childhood is that if they work hard all day, give them some outdoor time, their bodies are wanting to go anyway, and then you set up all of those other aspects well and are very consistent with them, your child's body will take care of the rest. Again, kind of tying it back to food, we get addicted to all this processed food. But if we just start setting up everything well, that we shift the food that's in our refrigerator, freezer, and pantry, and we start purposely making really healthy yummy meal choices, and we start avoiding situations that's going to put a processed food temptation in front of us, our bodies will start reverting back to the way they're supposed to be. Our taste buds will start craving food that our body knows it truly needs, and our whole view of food will shift. And the same thing is true here. Children require an extensive amount of sleep because their bodies are meant to go all day long. And so we're not having to invent the wheel here. We're having to just let their bodies set up the boundaries that will let their bodies go back to the way they're supposed to be. So you might be saying at this point, okay, I get it, and that sounds great, but also sounds easier said than done, because we've all had to fight the toddler or the young child, and they want to stay up and enjoy the fun times of awakeness, even though we have told them it's time for bed. And so there's things, all the struggles of, once you put them in bed, how do you keep them in bed? If they want to refuse to sleep outside of with mommy and daddy, how do we change that? They always wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. What do we do about that? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I could have this video go on for another hour, or I could send you to the Rested Mommy Masterclass, totally free. It's literally an hour-long masterclass where I cover all of it, and show exactly how I brought our home with 4 kids 8 and under to a point of all of them sleeping through the night, and my husband and I not only being able to determine when we are able to sleep, but then also have extra time while kids are sleeping to just do the life things that need to be done. So if that sounds at all interesting to you, click on the link below. And that's all I've got for today, but remember, I'm always here if you need me. Bye.